Another day, another moment, as I look forward to spend some time with you on this episode where we unpack and educate you about different sporting codes. It is a Biggie on sport where we say what they won't say. In today's episode, we're looking at a sport, or rather sporting code that is growing in popularity, but not as rapidly as it is expected because it is overshadowed by other sporting codes in the country. But the NBA has constantly conducted coaching clinics to bring and highlight the sport to those who are not privy to the sport itself. To talk us through all that, I'm glad to be joined on my episode by founder, coach of one of the basketball teams based in Johannesburg, known as Jozi Nuggets. Andile Hlophe, welcome to Biggie on Sport.
Thank you for the time, Biggie.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are the coach and a founder of Jozi Nuggets. I understand that back in 2011, you devoted your time taking everything into one basket. Also, at some stage, have to sacrifice your 9 to 5, your day-to-day work, because of you were driven by passion and the love of the sport itself. Talk us through what inspired Andile to venture into this particular sport.
I would say I played basketball at high school level. I played it at varsity level. I played it as well at club level.
Yes.
And there was nothing better than giving back to the sport by starting a program that will help other kids,
yes,
other children or future players get into the sport.
Yes. Jozi Nuggets, it's your team. You are the founder also of the team. Give us a brief background on that.
Jozi Nuggets was born on the premise of trying to give players from outside Gauteng a team or a club to belong to. Because sometimes you get players that come from your Eastern Cape, your Mpumalanga, your Northwest, your Limpopo, and they never get to be put into teams when they come to Joburg for studying or for working. So that's how Jozi Nuggets came into being.
You had in my introduction, I don't know if you share the same sentiments, that the sport itself, it's not so popular in South Africa, especially in black townships, but lately it is gaining traction with the intervention of the NBA's biggest federations, such as the NBA's conducting clinics and so forth. And we have leagues such as the USSA, something we want to tap into as we move on into our interview.
Yeah, I would say it's a funny thing that basketball has twisted to be more of a suburban sport, where when we played in your 1996, 1997, we used to play in the township leagues, your Soweto League, Alex, Sandra, your Tembisa. There were more teams there than there are now, but the resurrection of teams in the township is also coming back.
I'm glad that you say it is obviously gaining traction, and obviously you guys are making strides in popularizing the sport itself within communities. From time to time, do you also conduct clinics within the schools and so forth?
Yes, we do. So as a club, we've got a program called Basketball Saving Lives. So the Basketball Saving Lives program helps with mentoring, career guidance, and basketball skills development. Yeah. So it caters for a complete citizen at the end of the day, not just the basketball player.
Andile, just like any other sporting codes, obviously there has to be a regulatory body, if not a federation. Talk us through as to what bodies can we look forward to that are looking over basketball or monitoring basketball or regulating basketball in South Africa?
So it starts at district level. So
Okay.
you have a district association, then you move to provincial, then you have the national federation, which is Basketball South Africa. So in Johannesburg, you've got the Johannesburg Basketball Association, and then you move to Gauteng Basketball Association, then the Basketball South Africa.
Basketball South Africa?
Yes.
Okay. And let's talk about the USSA, which is, that is university sport. where basketball also plays part in those particular institutions. Talk us through about that.
Yeah, so you're talking about USA.
USA,
so USA, yes, it's a special member of Basketball South Africa. So they only cater for your universities, university basketball competitions and development as well. So as clubs, we have junior programs. So we get the players ready for varsity basketball, actually. So on a yearly basis, you have 4 or 5 players from a club like us going into the university system.
Since the establishment of Jozi Nuggets, what would you say has been the highlights of the club itself as a basketball team? Are there any players who went on to join higher ranks in as far as the sport is concerned?
Yes, as a club, we've won the national championship, which is you start at district, then you go to provincial championships, then you play in national championships. So we've won the national championships in 2019 as a club, and then as well we've got players that have been selected for your under 16, your under 18, your senior national teams, and then you also have players that have gone as far as overseas to play basketball, and some to universities overseas.
If a young person is watching this episode now, and what would you say to them, in fact, that will attract them to develop interest in joining the sport? They are listening, they are watching. How would you entice them?
I would say any sport goes with education. So if you want to excel in a sport, like you just mentioned USA, if you want to excel in a sport, don't forget your books. Get to study, play basketball. It will get you at a good basketball scholarship to a good basketball program. You see, at the moment, at USA level, you've had University of Johannesburg winning back-to-back for the men. And then Wits University won the ladies division this year. Last year, it was Vaal University of Technology that won the ladies side. So if kids want to play basketball, they should stay in school.
They should stay in school. Why is it so popular within those institutions of higher learning basketball, rather than having teams at the grassroots level? You did mention that in your opening, that basketball, it was more prevalent in suburbians and stuff like that. Why can't we start it from the grassroots level? What is stifling that?
I would say suburban is still grassroots. But in our townships, our problem is vandalism of facilities.
Facilities.
Yes. And the municipalities have taken a stance to say, if there is no club in North Cliff and there is a basketball court in North Cliff, they will not renovate that basketball facility because nobody's going to use it. So the clubs themselves need to go to the municipality to say, we are training at North Cliff sports grounds, so can you please renovate? And they must justify by saying they play in a district league. So that way, it becomes easier for municipality to put it in the budget the following year. But if there's no club that plays in that facility, the municipality will never, because they've been renovating spaces, and the spaces remain idle.
Still on that, are there any private companies, if not private entities, who are keen in making sure that the sport flourishes by throwing their weight behind the sport itself?
I would say companies will only come in if people are compliant.
Okay.
Yeah. If as a club, Jozi Nuggets is not compliant, it becomes tough for any corporate to involve themselves with the club. So the first thing that clubs need to do is just be compliant. And the municipalities, they've got sports departments that assist in helping clubs to develop. So they've got a club development, not just in basketball, in every sporting code. They've got a club development portfolio that helps clubs in giving them constitutions, how to make constitution, how to do a sponsorship proposal, how to have an executive committee within the club itself, how to have a club bank account. Because if you go to any particular corporate and you say they must pay the money that you need or whatever you need into a personal account, they will say, no, you are not compliant. So they will just put your proposal aside. So you just need to be compliant.
We are chatting to Andile Hlophe, who is the founder as well as the coach of Jozi Nuggets. He is here with us as he is taking us through the sport itself, the sport of basketball, educating us about basketball. I did mention earlier on when we started that it is a sport that is gradually making inroads in South Africa. This is a Biggie on sport. We say what they won't say. There is a myth around the fact that you need to have a particular height for one to be eligible to participate in the sport itself, basketball. I don't want to, let me not call it a myth, but how factual is that?
It's kind of a tough situation.
Okay.
To say height is the major component of basketball.
Of basketball, okay.
Yeah, because if you don't have the brains, it becomes tough.
Why the brains?
So any sport,
can I interject?
in any sport.
Why the brains?
Because there's more decision making in sport
okay.
than anything else.
Okay.
So you can have the most talented player, but if his decision making is poor, yeah, it becomes a waste.
What is the average age for a person to start taking basketball or participating in basketball? At what age do I have to start? Because a lot of people are saying in football, in my earlier days, I would tell players that I'm not here to actually teach you how to play football, but to show you the ropes on how to play football. And if you never kicked it at the age of 13, I don't think, in fact, you'll make it. So is it the similar scenario in as far as basketball is concerned?
I would say the earlier the better.
Okay.
So you've got now a lot of primary schools and a lot of, what do they call them in the Model C language, preps,
okay,
that are playing basketball from grade 3. Kids are playing basketball from grade 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So which means at about 8 years old, players are being developed to play basketball. I've got 3 sons, and one of them plays basketball, but he mixes with rugby, which for me, it will give him the strength when he goes back to the basketball court. Nobody can push him around.
Wow. Andile, let's talk about governance. There's been issues with other bodies within the country, in other sporting codes. I'm not sure if basketball has also its a fair share of challenges in terms of governance. Obviously, we have seen other bodies being in the media for wrong reasons in terms of maladministration, power mongering, people jostling for power, etc., etc. And in your take, in fact, what do you think should be the appropriate, if not relevant people being ascended on a particular position?
Yeah, there's too many questions in one. But, but I'll just break it down like this. Like I said, compliance is the most important thing. Number 2, you can't have the South African Democratic Teachers Union run by somebody that's not a teacher or an educator. You can't have the National Taxi Alliance run by somebody that's not a taxi owner. So any sporting code, it must be people that have vested interest in the sport. So in basketball as well, if you do not have a club, why would you want to be part of a basketball association if you do not have a club? Because you should be going in there to serve interest of it's not say interest of your club, but for the development of your club.
You've been appointed into the executive of the Johannesburg Basketball Association, and obviously you're going to have a role to play. What can be expected from you?
Appointment is the wrong word. Okay. It's voted into office.
Okay.
So the voted into office becomes, it makes you compliant as an executive member.
Okay.
So the biggest challenge, which is not a challenge as such, the biggest challenge is gaining trust again from clubs. Okay. Because Johannesburg Basketball Association was resurrected in 2017. Okay. And it went up into high gear, and teams were playing, and then COVID came in, teams started slacking, and then executive members started slacking as well. And then eventually in 2024 and 2023, nothing happened. But now in 2025, we're pushing as an executive committee to get basketball in Johannesburg, because basketball in Johannesburg is the nucleus of basketball in South Africa. So if you were to select a national team for basketball for any age group, if you do not have 4 from Johannesburg in your final team of 12, that team will never compete internationally. Yeah, because in Johannesburg there is more games that are played than in any other district in South Africa. As we speak, there are teams, so today is more like the end of the month, there are teams since the year started that have played about 8 games already in Johannesburg. Some districts will probably start playing in April, which means Johannesburg will be four months ahead of the teams from other districts.
Why is that? Why the inconsistency? Where else you guys are being governed by one federation?
It depends on when you want your season to start.
Okay.
Yeah. And it depends on what the clubs actually want. So if clubs they don't want to play, there's nothing you can do as an association. But if clubs are eager to play, you have to get them the games to play. So that's what happens in Johannesburg.
Last year, 2024, was the biggest year for basketball in the continent, with the Basketball Africa League coming to South Africa. And even this year, we know that games will start very soon, in 2 months' time, up until in June, whereby a lot of countries within the continent will be taking part in the tournament itself, with South Africa becoming the last country to host, I think, the last batch of the tournament itself. Talk us through that.
I would say, for me, that tournament was not the biggest in 2024.
Okay.
South Africa hosted the Under-18 AfroBasket Championships, for boys and girls, which is the future of basketball. So if you are able to host such a tournament, then it means the future is bright. Even though our team didn't perform that much, but we're not last, at least, because the players put their hearts out there. The coaches made sure that the players can put their best foot forward. But that, for me, was the biggest highlight in 2024. Even though there were hiccups building up to the tournament, but if you have under-18s playing, it means the future is there. Not taking away from the Basketball Africa League, where you'll have the pinnacle of professional basketball in Africa. But for me, it's always the developmental part of the sport that will always that I'm always interested in.
Don't you think such events, if not tournament, are significant in the sense that the sport itself, it's slowly making inroads, becoming so popular? But the more we have such events, the more the sport is highlighted and people are being sensitized about the sport out there.
Yes, having these events, it's a big plus for the country as a whole. But it doesn't give us any easy way, because now, as South African clubs, we need to perform. We cannot go to Basketball Africa League and become an embarrassment. We cannot go to the Basketball Africa League without development structures in place. Because if we are a one and done club, after 2025, next year when we're supposed to have a team from South Africa, it will become tougher if we only have 35, 33-year-olds participating in the tournament. So if we have 19, 22, 25, 28-year-olds as well in the tournament, there's a bit of growth. Like as we speak now, one of the players that was playing in the Basketball Africa League, who has a record in rebounds for the Basketball Africa League from South Africa, is actually playing in China now. He just left 2 weeks ago to play in China.
What does the future hold for Jozi Nuggets? What can we expect from you guys going forward?
A lot.
Okay.
I'll say we're one of the few clubs in the country that has development structures. So we have your under 10, under 12,
compared
under 14,
to the Corporals in Cape Town?
To who?
To a team called Corporals in Cape Town?
I've never heard of Corporals. But
okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, but hey, there are teams in Cape Town, clubs actually. So in basketball, you have a team and then you have a club.
Okay.
So Jozi Nuggets, your Montana Vikings, your Soweto Basketball Academy,
Yes.
your Midrand Heat, those are clubs because they've got your senior men, senior women, and junior structures. So that's how you differentiate. So now we have a team that only has a men's team.
Okay.
And we have a team that only has a women's team.
Okay.
So for you to be at a better, how do I put it, better stand in basketball or within basketball, you need to have a club because players come and go. So for an example, as Jozi Nuggets, we lost about 10 players last year in 2024. But because we've got a good, very good junior program, some of our players from junior program now are into the senior program, and they will just continue playing.
When you say you lost 5 players, so you lost them why they left the club or became disgruntled, or they have actually joined highest echelons in terms of the sport itself?
They left and joined other clubs.
Okay.
Yeah, because for me, I believe in an ecosystem. So an ecosystem of basketball is this. A club must be able to make its own money.
Okay.
So I cannot say I will pay players when the club does not make any money to play players. So it means my kids will go hungry. Yeah. Or I'll be doing ducking and diving now. I owe Biggie. I promised Biggie to pay him 5,000 rands every month. Now I haven't paid him for 6 months. When I see Biggie, I duck or I change phone numbers or I do all this.
Andile, this is your camera. Please talk to the residents of Gauteng, if not Johannesburg, about Jozi Nuggets, about the future plans as far as Jozi Nuggets are concerned, and if they would like to get hold of you in terms of socials or contact numbers, anyone interested to join your club or soliciting any advice in as far as the sport is concerned, please talk to them.
Yeah, I would say as a club, our aim is to get a complete citizen, more than just a basketball player. So the first thing that we always talk about is don't drop maths, because my coaching is very technical. So if you do not have maths, it becomes a problem. Number 2, stay in school, do your homework, because as a club, we try and get our players bursaries for university schooling, some for high school schooling, some even to overseas universities. So as a club, that's what we do. We develop not just players, we develop human beings, people that can be something in society.
And where can they get hold of you if they'd like to get any advice or join the club itself, Jozi Nuggets?
We train in Johannesburg South, which is a Clip-Refill Recreation Center, which is a facility that we have a lease with the City of Johannesburg municipality. On Monday, Tuesdays and Thursdays. On social media, we're found as Jozi Nuggets on Facebook, on Instagram, on Threads, on TikTok, and on X.
Okay. Well, Andile Hlophe, we thank you for your time, and thank you so much for making time to come and speak to us. And yeah, we're looking forward also to speak to you, especially towards the start of the Police Basketball Africa League, which is going to start very soon. Well, that's where we leave it at for today. That was Andile Hlophe speaking to us on different aspects in as far as basketball is concerned. Thank you so much for taking your time also watching this episode. As we wrap it up, allow me to thank the team behind the scenes who have made sure that we come as good as you look forward to. Nonhlanhla, Jimmy Mashazi, as well as Kabza the Medium. That's what he said to me. I should call him Kabza the Medium. But above all, thank you so much to the technical staff at JD Art 24 Studios in North Cliff for the good quality of sound as well as pictures. Please don't forget to like, share, but above all, to subscribe to our episodes. This has been Biggie on Sport. Until then, sharp sharp.